by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An impact on your health for every day. Our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health, heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, how about this? We've been reading, seeing, watching, feeling a lot going on in the Gulf, empathizing with those poor souls down there who live along the Gulf, especially off the shores of Louisiana. Seems distant to us, seems like another world. We're worried for them. However, hey, turns out you got some worries on your own. The Gulf still is affecting you, or at least so says our guest today, Kath Ingram. And the topic we're going to be discussing is going to be how to survive a toxic summer. And it's the same toxic summer that I think that we've been watching so much about. How is it affecting you? How will it affect you? Only Kath Ingram will be able to drive that point home. And so we'll be with him today after our first break. You know him, well, I know him as the king of oregano. And now if you make that connection, I think you'll do very well for the rest of the hour. We're going to be with him the entire hour and talking about that toxic summer and what you can do about it. And so in the course of our discussion with Dr. Ingram, you want to call in to ask a question or make a comment. That number, of course, as always, will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. And I will give that number additionally throughout the hour. Kath Ingram, our special guest today. Now, looking at our schedule of events, up and coming, well, Doug Inglesby is going to be back with us. He's going to be coming in 1 week from today. Doug has been on the show before. We'll be talking about how the FTC wants SpongeBob. I don't really know who SpongeBob is. Do you know who SpongeBob is? I know my kids know. I know it's important to them. Evidently, it's really important to the FTC to get them out of our lives because the FTC wants SpongeBob out of your cereal. We'll be talking about that a week from today with Doug Inglesby. Also, too, way up, coming up almost a month from today, James Robert will be with us, the author of the book in collaboration with Dr. Stephen Sinatra. That is a textbook that I think you can follow with respect to your cardiovascular health. You can either follow it or you can have us set the pathway for you to follow by coming in to see us. We do everything that's contained in that book. I often say keep it as a reference. Have it in the sight and presence of other doctors who want to dismiss you and discard how you're thinking and what you're thinking, and they'll think that you have nothing to back it up. Pull the book out, put it up on the desk, and you'll see a concerned look in the face of your medical professional, wondering how he or she is going to be able to deal with you. Anyway, Dr. James Roberts will be our featured guest in about a month from now. It's going to be on August 25th. We got quite a bit of time between now and then, and we'll fill up some spaces. I hope you've been keeping track of how we've been zipping through the topics here in the last few weeks. We've had quite a bit of teaching going on here in the air. I'd always like to pass on to you insights, tidbits of information that I just find you won't get anyplace else. I had a really enjoyable time talking about stealth diabetics on Monday. I know I cloaked it in some common phrases like, are you in the closet? I just meant that. If you have diabetes and don't know it, a closet diabetic. And I told you and urged you how to come out of the closet, and if nothing more, if the symptoms that you might be having aren't intense enough for them to cloud your day, you want to do well. We want to change policy. You've heard of don't ask, don't tell. I think we want please ask and please tell. Please ask for a hemoglobin A1C, and if after asking for it you don't seem to meet with approval, then please tell the doctor you absolutely want to have it. A1C is what you'll be using to see how you stand, how things shape up with your diabetes. You cannot use, do not rely upon, as unfortunately your doctor may be relying upon, that fasting blood sugar right out of the chute in the morning to be the indicator as to whether you are or you are not a diabetic. I'm seeing far too many normal and really ideal, excellent fasting blood sugars done first thing in the morning, that when stacked up to a hemoglobin A1C done on that same patient, which is a measure of your blood sugar over a 90-day period, to find out that frank diabetes is present and it's cloaked in a fasting blood sugar in the 60s, in the 70s. One looks at that, a doctor would look at that and say, oh, this is fine, when in fact things are not fine, and ask for that hemoglobin A1C to get that all corrected. Your vitamin C information is brought up to snuff. Two things always remember about it. See how well you're doing these 2 points. It better be non-corn derived, or at least if you want to get a biological bang for having purchased it and have taken the time to take it, you deserve that biological bang. It's the whole reason why you bought that stuff, I think, because you want to be healthier and you need to be able to have a biological antioxidant component delivered to your tissues each and every day. Well, if you take corn-derived products, 99.9% of the vitamin C, of course, is corn-derived, the likelihood that you're going to get that biological bang is pretty slim to pretty none. Second component, of course, with vitamin C, which just simply becomes a matter of how can you tolerate it, which is any doses of vitamin C that are water-soluble, and all vitamin C is water-soluble, can lead to bowel tolerance. In fact, they use bowel tolerance to set how you establish a dose of vitamin C. When the stools get loose, they say, that's when you stop. Unfortunately, in many people, the stop level for the vitamin C is well below the daily requirements of the antioxidant potential you're seeking out and searching for. So, vitamin C, promptly crossed off your list. The fructose issue with sugar and sugar substitutes, we went through a whole bunch of information on it. And of course, the educational phase of the last month got kicked off a little over a month ago with our good friend Dr. Roy Carey talking about thyroid. What is your basal body temperature? That's the best way to tell if you have thyroid issues. Not that you got your doctor to order, or he got well enough to order thyroid function tests, which came back normal and has pronounced you to have no thyroid problems whatsoever. You just can't do it. You can't allow that to be the measure of whether or not you have thyroid disease. Basal body temperature, as crude as you think that may be, stacked up against sophisticated science, I can tell you it's a much more accurate way of making that call than the blood test ever worked. So, hope you've enjoyed spending some time with us. Each and every one of those topics is illuminated by the very show we did on each and every, in many cases, several shows. I direct you all to the website, djcmd.com. Go to the opening page. You'll see an icon there marked Archives. Click on Archives. All the shows, and I mean all of them, that we have done since the year 2006 are on the website. And you'll, just go down through. If anything interests you, click on it. You'll be able to hear the show live as we did it back then on that date. But in the more recent time frame, that I'm speaking about today, and that is with respect to diabetes, vitamin C, fructose content of sugars and sugar substitutes, and thyroid. I think they're all just a couple of keystrokes away, a couple of clicks away from being enjoyed once again by you. Hope we're coming through loud and clear today on our streamers. Streamers a techie term, of course, for those who don't live in the Pittsburgh area, who live far away. Actually, I find a lot of you folks who are listening to the show and watching it while we stream it actually go to work. And I'm not going to tell anybody at work that you got shut down up. Just be careful now, because you got a responsibility there. Make sure that you do all those work things, and then just keep on listening to the show. And I don't know, go in the corner and make sure nobody can see the screen, and you'll be fine. So there you have it. All right, let's do this. I spoke to Cass just before I went on the air, Dr. Cass Ingram, that is. He's awaiting our return hookup with him in the wings. Why don't we do that right now and find out from him how you're going to deal with your toxic summer. Yeah, the same toxic stuff from the Gulf. You got a problem with it, folks. Let's find out how that is. Be right back in a moment with Dr. Ingram.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Well, sorry, I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit, herbs, and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the spirit's unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea with no added sugar. Fruit of the spirit's unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to An Impact on Your Health. Of course, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock right here on KHV 620. With you today, the Wednesday version of the show. We are smack dab in the middle of summer. And, geez, how could you miss with the last 90 to 91 days? What you saw on your TV screens every single night was just this gunk boiling up in the Gulf, and you probably looked askance at that and said, oh, geez, those poor people down there. Sir, thank goodness it doesn't affect me. At least, I think I thought that. Well, guess what? Our guest today is going to drive this issue home and bring the Gulf to you, maybe in a way you never thought possible. I'm sure in a way that I haven't thought possible. He can do it too, folks. He's the king. He's the wizard of oregano. And, geez, he's a well-noted authority on the subject. One of the world's most foremost authorities on medicinal uses of wild herbs and spices, therapeutic properties of wild plant extracts. He's a popular lecturer, public speaker, and guest on multiple radio and TV shows throughout the U.S. and Canada, as well as Europe. Dr. Ingram is the author of more than a dozen books on natural health and wellness, including Natural Cures for Health Disasters, The Miracle of Wild Oregano, and his newest, The Cure is in the Forest. Hey, that is a new one. I don't even remember hearing about that one. Well, let's hear from the man himself. Let's say good morning and welcome back, Dr. Cass Ingram. Hello.
Hi, hello. How you doing? Good morning to be with you.
Well, we're always interested when Dr. Ingram comes to town and at least visits us via the airways. And wouldn't you know it, you figured out a way, and I'm just dying to hear from you, how you are saying my toxic summer, which I'd have figured, okay, yeah, we got a lot of, this is Pittsburgh for goodness sake, we got a lot of toxins around here, but when you say how to deal with your toxic summer, you're actually talking about the big thing we've been seeing in the Gulf, and you're saying that's a problem for me here in Pittsburgh? Oh, I'm all ears. How so? How so?
Well, you got a huge volume. You know, there was the Exxon Valdez, which didn't have a direct effect on anybody unless they ate the seafood.
Up in Alaska.
But it was only 2.5 million gallons of material, but it was a spill, right?
Yeah.
In this case, you have equivalent to 2.5 million gallons a day of oil and oil-like matter coming out of the bowels of the earth, you know? It's not a spill. It's a miserable, greedy, avarice-related disaster, human disaster of stupidity, where they popped the bowels of the earth, you know, the 100,000 psi pressure or whatever it is. It just blew up, right? And it just keeps blowing up, blowing up, blowing up. So you have maybe 600 million gallons of oil and oil-related matter. Now, that's enough to poison most of the United States in the airways. You know, yeah, and you have the Gulf's the source of a lot of the weather patterns in the United States. That's what the Gulf does, right? But what's more is the gas. So you have 600 or 700 million gallons of oil coming out, and oil-related matter, because this is not a true just oil deposit. There's all kinds of garbage in there. But you also have these things like methylene chloride, volatile hydrocarbons, which are carcinogenic. Benzene, toluene, very carcinogenic. And the levels have been measured by some of the local TV outfits down there, say 2,000 times normal, or more. So, plus the BP, Buffoon Petroleum, they have been spraying around 2.5 million gallons of what's essentially kind of a gasoline.
Oh, this is called correction stuff, right?
Yeah, it's banned in Europe. It doesn't correct anything. It corrupts it. And this is extremely poisonous. It's a petroleum distillate. You know when you go into a hardware store and you buy something because you're refinishing or doing something, it says petroleum distillate, right?
Yeah.
Fatal if swallowed. That's what they're spraying on the ocean. So that stuff is going into the air and coming through the wind and also the rain back to the earth. It's volatile. There's just too much volume, and it's endless of material such that it affects especially anybody that's, say, within a 250-mile outlying 250 miles down to the Gulf.
Okay.
Now, I've been sounding the alarm, and I've been telling people, be alert. There are symptoms, and protect yourself. Now, when I was sounding the alarm in Vero Beach, guess what was happening? They were all coughing while I was doing the pre-record. And then as I was talking about the respiratory toxicity, they said, what about this cough that we're all having? It's not a normal cough. It's the toxicity from the chemicals, even as far as Vero Beach, which is on the other side of Florida.
And all they're doing in Vero is taking a walk on the beach and looking for tar balls every day, thinking this is the only sign of harm to be able to come to me if tar balls wash up on my white beach.
Exactly. The
whole thought process is off, huh?
It is, because you have essentially a very hot earth, 30,000 feet down these criminals went. We don't know what is down there. Nobody's ever done it before. It could be magma. Something's driving it because the volume of gas is immense. And let's not forget, these are lethal gases. So that if, there's been, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 workers who are sickened, minimum, maybe more. There's a special facility that, British Petroleum has set up on an island so that the local emergency room and the media can't see the kind of sicknesses that are developing in these workers.
Okay.
We have even a report of a person who, and it's a legitimate one, who took the suit off, and then the paddle from the boat slapped her suit with the Corexit, residue, and she became sickened and overcome just by a little skin contact. It's more poisonous, apparently, than gasoline.
Where are you getting this? I've seen this nowhere.
It's all based on the exact reports from the people, also workers who come on, on video saying these are the symptoms that they're developing after doing some cleanup. Also people who were trying to save turtles, that they were overcome, and they've reported this. Also, Dar Jamel's down there, who's a pretty well-known international reporter, and he was attached to the U.S. military for a time. He's down there with his colleague making reports, which they're sending me. But the bottom line is it makes sense. When you have that kind of volume of poisonous matter, and everybody who can look up hydrogen sulfide, methylene chloride, they can look up volatile hydrocarbons, they can look up benzene, they can see how poisonous this is. It's coming out and coming out and coming out and coming out. And there are videos on the internet, and they're legitimate, even some of them produced by BP, showing the rent in the ocean and the casing billowing up endlessly volume of matter.
Over and over and over. I can tell you, you're making sense. I can recall multiple times when various networks cut the interviews from their personnel down on the beach. The comments by those reporters were over and over again. The pungent. They use the term pungent, but
this is stupid cover-up.
The word toxic, I think, could have been and probably was mentioned.
Well, it's pungent.
Yeah, pungent aroma.
Yeah.
Sort of like whenever you're pumping gas into your car and you get those fumes that come up in your face, a couple of steps away from your car, you can walk away from it. But I think the thing that was impressing me was nowhere you went down on the Gulf Coast could you walk away. That when you're engulfed in a toxic cloud, literally, that you can detect and can't walk away from, you are in deep doo-doo. But you're saying, hey, it's that pungent down there, sure. It ought to be, because that stuff is just bubbling up, a few miles off the coast, but up here in the other contiguous 48, don't be smug.
Don't slight this. I'm talking to them in Vero Beach, doing this show on a pre-record, and they have a deep, unusual cough, which I would attribute to benzene poisoning. That's quite a distance.
Oh, yeah.
At a hurricane, and I'm sure that all of us, as I have my little pack of supplements in my hand, would be very wise to not get lung cancer, lymphoma, and leukemia from benzene and toluene and methylene chloride or carbon monoxide poisoning by at least taking some preventive steps with food, with supplements. It's a bad time. I'm not an expert in the Bible and the Quran, but I have read them, and I see they predicted that there would be these changes in the atmosphere and the oceans and destruction. And everybody thought, oh, God's coming. Well, man has already come, and done his dirty deed. And you think about it, these idiots, these greedy people, don't believe these plots on the internet that they did it on purpose to get martial law. Those people are bad news. These people, out of greed, avarice, lust, and dirty tricks, just dirty techniques, they blew it, Their dirty greed caused this absolutely preventable catastrophe. Anyway, they should have never been there. Nobody knows what's going on at that level in the earth.
Yeah, it's a depth that really needs.
You have to, they have to understand that this is greed. Anybody that even puts a foot on the pavement of British Petroleum, I can't understand. I mean, I don't care whether their bankruptcy affects the Gulf or not, but I can't put. How can I put my energy, my feet, my car on their property or anywhere near their miserable, facilities? They are bad news, just like the rest of them. Exxon Valdez as well.
All right. Your avarice toward them is well understood. I think an entire country is out there with similar disdain for this company. And let's turn away from that disdain for a moment and talk about how to take charge. That's always been your message when you came here. The health issues that befall us by virtue of just the normal movement of toxins through our
right
is one thing. Now this one, you've driven it home. You've made sense to me. Certainly made sense probably to the bulk of our listeners too. You mentioned that one of the ways that we may know that we're going to be fall victim to this is through respiratory problems, coughing. What other things might you envision?
These poisons are going to cause an increase in this coughing, in lung, in pneumonia-like symptoms, in bronchitis, sinusitis, burning in the chest, burning in the lungs. A lot of problems with eyes, irritation of the eyes, from the petrochemical residues.
Gotcha.
You'll see an increase in what we would call like sort of a generalized fatigue or sort of overcome feeling of, how do we say, just logginess. Benzene in high enough levels, not high enough obviously in Pittsburgh yet or anything like that, but that can cause unconsciousness or dizziness, wooziness, and more early is headache. So we should be alert to this in case, with more and more hurricanes, we start to see more. But the biggest thing is going to be like cough, irritation of the lungs, the chest, watery eyes.
Well, that really is. You said the magic word just a second ago. I mean, I think that the first hurricane, the word hurricane now really has a special significance because picking up large volumes of that toxic water as the Gulf cooking out the water temperature sort of bubbling up in the atmosphere as a normal consequence, the heat of the summer. This is the evolution of a hurricane, and then having the ability to dump all that they've picked up throughout much more than just this coastline. I mean, we will probably see and hear of these toxic displays of symptoms much more prominently with the first hurricane that comes ashore.
I would think so. We need to be alert to that. Very, very good point. By the way, I must add that we do have definitive, not conspiratorial, but real reports of burning holes through vegetation as far north as Iowa. Now, whether or not, and it happens after rain. Now, a lot of people put a lot of chemicals and poisons on our earth, but for sure there is some vegetation showing unheard of horticultural societies can't figure it out, wiping out of the chlorophyll and burning right through the plant matter. Most likely it's due to Corexit. At least the stuff that's happening in Alabama.
That's the dispersant they used, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they used so much that even the government, who was hoping that they could have some impact, said, you know what, boys, you got to cut it out with this Corexit. You've already dumped in far excess of anything ever known to be even possible.
Yeah, and this shows you that it's the Rothschild, Rockefeller, these powerful people, they have more power in the government because they just did it. Now there's 100 scientists that have created a organization to try to stop it. But here's the bottom line. Hopefully they'll stop that because that's more poisonous than even what's coming out of the Gulf. So everybody that can, check that out on the internet. It's banned in Europe, but we can spray it on America. It's just the same old junk.
Yeah, and it takes it off the surface, and it settles right to the bottom.
Suffocating the crabs. The crabs are crawling out because of the Corexit,
Oh, jeez.
They're crawling out. Never seen before. Now, what can you do? If I was a worker in that area, if I was down there as a scientist to help or a physician to help, I know what I would take with me. I would absolutely have the old standby, the thing you've been helping people with from your clinic. I'd have the oil, the drops and the gel caps, and I'd also have this oregacillin stuff, this really powerful multiple spice. I'd have those three. I'd be locking up a barrier against lung damage. Pulmonary edema and lung damage and lung scarring is what these workers are getting. And, you know, that pushes the heart, and the heart collapses, and they have sudden death. There have been some reports of fatalities. So I can't confirm the fatalities. They're local news reports, but I can confirm that we have many, many hundreds sick, you know, who's had direct contact. And so those would be absolutely essential. I would, if I were down there, I'd take some wild berry drops, wild raw berry drops, and then I would also be eating as many organic berries as I could get.
Berries?
Huh?
Berries, you say?
Yeah, because don't forget, berries and also red grape contain tannic acid, gallic acid, malic acid, tartaric acid, and they're aggressive binders of toxins. They bind them, they lock them up, and then, of course, the body gets them out at whatever degree it can. And then, greens. You know why the greens. If your hand's in a crankcase full of grease, can you get it off with water, even hot water?
No, absolutely not.
You have to use a soap.
Gojo. I have to use Gojo.
Yeah, Gojo. And that the body makes its own Gojo, which is the bile. And so your beets, your beet greens, your romaine lettuce, your arugula, your mustard greens, your collards as well. All of these greens stimulate the production of bile. All right, and if you want to be more aggressive, your dandelion, your burdock, your nettle, but those are really wild. Or you could do it in a form of drops, the greens flushing drops, you know, that type of thing, which you just squirt that under the tongue. You squirt the oil of oregano under the tongue. You squirt the wild berries extract under the tongue, and you start flushing. Now, why am I concerned? We did nothing about the Gulf War, which not only, you know, poisoned the Middle Easterners terribly, but poisoned Americans, women and men.
Gulf War syndrome.
You know, you got 1 million of them out there basically dying slowly. We did nothing about 911 because, the EPA said that the air is safe, so a lot of people didn't wear the respirator. Now you have, about 6,000 to 7,000 workers dead or dying, asbestosis and chemicals. Now we're not going to do anything here now unless some private person comes out and says, hey, you got to protect yourself, people. You know, I'm also taking that purge.
Hey, there's been no talk in any coverage. And
None.
No, I mean, none. I have to agree with you. Everything's been on.
And I'm in Vero Beach, and they're sick with a cough.
And they're sick.
They're not because of allergies. It's a deep, bizarre cough from poison, from chemicals. You see? And let me tell you something. I wish every worker at least had my ideas so they could protect themselves from the carcinogenic stuff. They don't know nothing, as always.
Well, you know, I sort of laughed, and now I maybe feel bad about it, hearing reports where those who were out on the beach, they have these white suits on, and what did I hear? They're allowed to work for, is it 10 minutes or is it 12 minutes? They can only work for, let's say, 12 minutes, and they have to be off for 40 because of the exposure to toxic agents. And on the one hand, I thought it was so ridiculous to think, what do you mean you can only work for 10 minutes?
They're physically noticing symptoms. And the oil itself is poisonous because it's so deep. It's being volatilized to a degree.
How about this? My sinister mind tells me, if they didn't hold them to that standard of working for 10 and off 40, and they worked a full hour, they would be dropping like flies down there, and the media couldn't help but stumble on the disaster. And so by holding them to the 10-minute rule, they're able to, nobody's dropping over.
That's probably partly true.
In front of the camera, nobody's dropping over.
That's probably partly true.
That's
that you see them at least get overcome and collapse in unconsciousness from the benzene. And the Corexit is exceedingly poisonous. And don't forget, it's a BP patent.
No, they got the patent on that. I didn't know that.
You know, and this is going back to Mr. Rockefeller and his high towers in New York. You know, so, you know, they've shown us their autocratic government, and it didn't do very good. It'd be better off if you and I took charge, kicked that admiral out, and we could do a better job than all these buffoons, you know. Unbelievable. What a comedy of corruption. Now, the only thing you can do, besides not using petrochemicals like drugs, what in the world are you doing taking pharmaceuticals? We've been telling you. And pesticides. You're still using those petrochemicals? Or foods with coal tar dyes? Come on, people. You know better than that. But in addition to all that nonsense, you should just do something to protect your body from imploding.
Well, if I had any doubt about your ability to drive this home to we who live in Pittsburgh, how the Gulf can actually, and is, if it hasn't already, it will be affecting the health status, and most particularly those who are already afflicted, especially with these respiratory problems.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've got asthma, if you've got COPD, if you got emphysema, asthmatic bronchitis, when that first hurricane comes, I believe we're going to actually hear about it, the increased incidence of people going to ERs and being admitted to hospitals and confined to hospitals because of it. And you went and did it. You actually made it and drove it home to me and to many.
They should do something to protect themselves, and they should take the most potent antioxidants, like the wild oregano scores 3,000 in antioxidant power, blueberry 30. So at the minimum, we should be taking that oil on a daily basis. Even if we take one gel cap twice a day, probably better to take the drops. We should all be taking the multiple spice.
Start now.
Yeah.
Even though it may take a rain or two, especially to take only
well,
one.
Tropical Storm Bonnie's there now.
Yeah, that's right. That
and this is not. And you know, by the way, I don't sound. People who know me know I don't sound alarms. You know, I didn't sound one on swine flu. I was right on that. I didn't sound. I said bird flu, schmurd flu.
Yeah, I know you did. You said it right here on
But this is different. This is different. The volume of gas, the volume of Corexit, the endless spewing from the bowels of the earth, and the scriptural predictions are right on. This is going to cause problems with the American people's health. That's it. You know.
Amen. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I want you to just list for them. You already mentioned a couple of the oregano products. I want you to spell out which ones they are. Of course, we carry that entire line, and we've done so based on our connection with you, Cass. I mean, how can we listen to you come to us at interval, talk about these products, and not carry them? And so we do, and we have, and we will. And so I want to hear from you about that. I want to get into this new book. I had never heard of the cure.
Oh, right, the trees, how the trees make.
Yeah, because I heard about the cure in the cupboard.
Mm-hmm.
Now the cure in the forest. That's a new one, Cass.
Okay.
Brand new. We'll talk about it too. You got him, folks. She is in Pittsburgh, at least virtually. We're going to get back with Dr. Cass Ingram in just a moment, and that toxic summer that you have in store for you, and how you're going to help you get through it. Be right back.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, but Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health here on a Wednesday version of the show. And, of course, we're with the king of oregano, talking about a gentleman who's been with us many times before. Each and every time he comes, he always brings an interesting perspective. He sure did it today, folks. He made a distant problem very local and is just getting you prepared and how to prepare for it. His name is Dr. Cass Ingram. He always brings us messages of hope and how to conquer these disasters, and you needed to listen to him today to be able to know how to get ready for this one. Dr. Ingram, you still with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still here. No doubt.
Okay,
about it.
so everybody went and got a pencil and paper. What are the products that you think these folks should be taking, number one, in anticipation of the arrival, and number two, boy, if you've got a previous problem and you're going to be affected severely by it, what should happen up and coming? Because I got a feeling that the conventional medical community is not going to be able to handle the result of this stuff.
No, not at all. I would be taking oil of wild oregano, the drops, maybe 4 or 5 drops twice a day, or, if you had a generalized issue, some respiratory issue, maybe 10 drops 2 or 3 times a day. I would be taking even a couple gel caps twice a day as extra insurance, and then this multiple spice material, which has the cumin, the oregano, the sage, and so on. I would be taking 1 twice a day, 2 twice a day, if I was vulnerable. That's like an absolute minimum baseline. If I could be a little more sophisticated with supplements, I would be taking wild greens drops with the burdock, nettle, and dandelion, which open up the liver and gallbladder and push these petrochemicals out. And I would be taking the wild berries drops. Same thing, 4 or 5 squirts twice a day. Finally, how about some natural vitamin C from camu and rose hips? Not the synthetic, made from corn. Let's do more with God's wide nature and less with the chemicals. Case history, I had a woman who was getting terminal bloating, and it wasn't her diet. She was taking about 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, and I took her off the vitamin C, and all the bloating and gaseousness went away.
Oh yeah, that bowel tolerance issue was certainly.
And it was more than it was also the fact it's from corn and it's genetically engineered.
I am so glad you brought up the corn issue. We just sort of had a little bit of a teaching going on here in the last week or so where this corn-derived issue, I can't believe that supplement companies have been getting away with this for years, putting out this inferior product coming from corn because it's so cheap. And I really I tip my hat to you because I say to my listeners, those in the know, and the doctors and the run around the circles that I run around, we're all in the know, that these corn-derived forms of vitamin C are virtually useless.
Yeah, and you know what? There was a good, it was actually not a conspiracy. It was a good study done on pregnant women, and the women who were taking 2,000, 3,000 milligrams of corn, genetically engineered corn vitamin C, had an increase in stillbirths compared to those who didn't know any better and didn't take any of this junk. So that's why when I say vitamin C, I say like that Purely C or the Potency or whatever it is that you have or you can get, the crude, raw, wild vitamin C from the Amazon, from the fruit. That's what you want.
Great natural sources.
Plus, a daily dose of natural vitamin C, you can't believe how it has an impact on your health. The primitives, maybe they got 2,000 milligrams roaming around eating every kind of a root, root, berry, and leaf, just sun-charged, and they were getting, all kinds of ascorbic acid.
Outstanding. I also was interested in asking about, because you really educated me on this product that heretofore I'd never heard about, that it looks like a great complement to the oregano line, and that's this stuff called chaga.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, talk to us a bit about chaga, where it comes from, and how it literally has a symbiotic relationship and works in conjunction with the oregano.
Well, this is very important. This is the new book, The Cure is in the Forest.
Okay, so we might as well get into that
Very
right
good,
now.
very good. And that's about the power of the tree. Now, if you're going to be able to withstand the toxic onslaught that's hitting us from every direction, we have to look at the trees. How does a tree survive around Pittsburgh International Airport?
Too well.
Yeah.
Not too well.
Not too well, but it's still standing. It's the phytochemicals. Now, we know that the natives harvested the tree, but we don't harvest trees. So in the book, I talk about how tree medicines will keep you strong, like a tree is tall, powerful, vital, vigorous, and will give you vital force, which, case history on chaga. Now, chaga grows on birch trees. You have birch trees up that way, but I don't know how much chaga you have there. But anyway, it's a growth on the birch tree, and the birch bark, we measured both. Birch bark had an antioxidant level of 2,400. Blueberry, I said, was 30. Chaga was around 600-700. But the chaga, what it does is, when it grows on the birch tree, it sucks the superoxide dismutase. Actually, it makes superoxide dismutase.
SOD.
And it makes a ton of it. So when you take the chaga, it's a real big insurance against oxidative damage, especially if there's birch bark with it. Chaga birch bark. Let me ask you this. When you get exposed to benzene, toluene, insecticides, pesticides, toxic chemicals, chlorinated compounds, chlorine in the water, when you're exposed to toxins, what happens to degenerate you? It's the oxidative burst, right?
Well, yeah, it's the oxidation, free radical oxidation at the cell membrane level.
So when a tortoise, God help the tortoises, has the longest lifespan, it has the largest SOD level. So when the human's lifespan goes down, his SOD level goes down. The ingestion of SOD from a food like wheatgrass and particularly chaga, which is exceedingly high, locks out the oxidative damage. Case history. The Inuit lived how long? About 40, 50? The Siberian tribes people lived how long? About 90 to 100, twice the lifespan. What's the difference?
Yeah,
chaga.
Chaga.
They drink a cup of chaga tea or two a day and put it in their stew.
Get out of here. Chaga tea.
We would be better off, no matter what the situation, if we all had a couple cups of wild chaga birch bark tea. Just to, this is sophisticated information for the listeners to have the most potent longevity-associated substance in the universe.
Is it palatable? Does this stuff taste?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It tastes
between
between coffee and tea, maybe. It's the type of thing you could put a little honey and cream with if you want it. We mostly around here take it straight. It's actually quite pleasant, very warming, and it's in a tub with about 90 servings, and also in sublingual drops, and also in a cream.
Well, this tea is a new product since the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah, well, it's the new book. This natural cures. This cures in the forest.
Cures in the forest.
So in addition to the oregano oil, the natural vitamin C, some this Berry Max berry drops, this greens flush greens drops. In addition to those, in my protocol, I would be doing chaga tea for the SOD level, and the birch bark also, because birch bark is such an aggressive antioxidant with high quantities of sterols, betulinic acid, oxygen-containing sterols. Now, these oxygens have an OH group, so the hydrogen, when they touch water, it dissociates. That allows the double bond on the oxygen to trap superoxide radicals and to trap the OH radicals, the hydroxyl radicals, and it's an efficient scavenger of those toxins. They found that mice got sick and died when they irradiated them, but they didn't get sick when they gave them chaga. It's a very important natural medicine. Nobody knew about it here.
No, you were the first to bring us the topic. The last time I spoke to you, and you spoke to us, I thought it was fascinating. And it has now led to a book, an interesting perspective, and you think about it, very accurate. These trees are up against every environmental issue that there is, yet you say they thrive, and why do they do so? Well, nature has provided them a natural way, in many cases, to do just that. The power is in the tree, and the cure is in the forest. Hey, by the way, that new book, how do they get that as well as other books?
Well, I wish that, your office had some, so they could just come and pick one up and chit-chat with your office people. And if that's not possible, then 1-800-243-5242, 800-243-5242. Call them and, listen, I don't have any association with selling a product, but tell them I said to place an order for my book, and they will send it to my publisher. At least 1-800-243-5242. That's the least they can do is write down your name, number, your information, and we'll get you a book somehow.
And I understand that you do something that you hadn't done before. You got a newsletter now, don't you?
Well, I've done a newsletter called the Civil Defense Newsletter, how to protect yourself against horrible poisons using these natural things and the dosage and what to take. So, yeah, I've got that, and I'm going to email it to everybody, no charge. The books, of course, you have to pay money for, but this is no charge. It's my Civil Defense Newsletter. You just send me an email to Dr. Oregano.
Dr. Oregano?
No dots, people. Everybody wants to put a dot. Just Dr. Oregano. Dr. Oregano at AOL.com.
And by doing so, you'll get on your emailing list, and they'll get that. I'm not much of a guy to spam people. I'm just going to send you my 2 newsletters that are one on how to find out if you have intestinal parasites and how to kill them. I'll send that too. And the other one is this civil defense against toxins. Do you come up with one of those every so often? Does it
I haven't done this thing where I should, which is everybody signs up, and then I send out a monthly newsletter, and I pay. They pay. I'm just not very organized. all I can do is write a book. That's it.
You've written many. By the way, there's one that really interested me. In fact, I was trying to get a hold of you to come on this.
What? Which book?
And it was on how to control hypertension.
Oh, you mean natural cures for high blood pressure?
Natural cures for high blood pressure. Yeah. You've got to come back, and hopefully I can coerce you. Say you will to talk about that book. I've had many patients ask me about it. Hypertension comes up so much in the discussion. I would love to hear and then encourage folks to get that book. Will you come back and we can maybe schedule a time after we get off air today and talk about these cures, these natural cures for high blood pressure?
I'll do that with you. God help you. You people out there, none of you should be on pharmaceuticals. There's enough natural stuff that if they just read my book on diabetes or blood pressure, they wouldn't have to take a drug.
Well, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get off air today and we'll book them in and we'll bring them back. We'll book them, Dano, and bring them back, talking about hypertension in a way that I think that everybody could benefit from, especially me. And so I promise you we'll get to that. Let's see here. What else I want to talk? Let you decide. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left to go. You do a good enough job in presenting the topic and starting us off.
Well, just that we're all exposed to toxins. We have a big burden. In the cord blood, they found 250 different poisonous chemicals as a newborn is born inside the cord. So our burden of toxic chemicals is exceedingly high. If we want to have vital force and vital health, we've got to detox in any case. So you can adapt my program to your misery right now. I'm coming out of the box here with the gloves on a little bit because of what they've done to our atmosphere and to our people. And at least the only thing I can do is protect people from getting cancer and respiratory disorders. My friends in Vero Beach who were interviewing me are all getting sickened. They don't know it. It's a bad time. But the way you do it is to take positive action. You protect yourself and your family, your loved ones, your children. And at the minimum, everybody should be taking oil of oregano.
Well, absolutely, and because of its antimicrobial properties, I'm sure that you're so much behind it. I like the fact that you teamed up the oregano, so well known to us by virtue of what you've taught us in the past, as an
with the chaga, yeah.
with the SOD.
Actually, I love that. If I had to do two things, just two, I'd be drinking the chaga tea because of the SOD.
The SOD.
And the oregano. You know.
And
I hope. Have you made the chaga available there in your office?
We have carried chaga since you were last with us, but not the tea. I didn't know that you had a tea. You didn't have one then.
Well, you got to get that, and then the other thing is the cream. Because look, we've had phenomenal results with the drops and the cream, both for skin problems, including psoriasis.
Wow.
I've had some fantastic
What's in the form of cream? The chaga, the oregano?
Chaga cream, and chaga drops. Chaga drops on a cotton or tulpa applied to the psoriatic lesion and taken under the tongue, the eczematous lesion, the dry skin lesion, and the cream as well, and the ringworm, and the lesions, and the boils, and the cysts.
And it's working off of this SOD mechanism?
And the skin tags. You got it, my friend.
Superoxide dismutase.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Great.
It's very important. How can you get it? Only wheatgrass and sauerkraut and dark leafy greens and barley grass. There's not much that has SOD, but chaga has 25 to 50 times more than anything else.
Found on a tree, folks. The cure is in the forest, and this gentleman brings it to you. Once again, phone numbers, I'm going to give that out, 1-800-243-5242. Maybe the quickest way to get a hold of that book, his newest one, The Cure is in the Forest. We've carried his other books here, and I'm going to take a look. I don't even know which ones we still may have. The last one, Cure in the Cupboard, we felt
the Cure is in the cupboard probably, and then I've got the Wild Berry Cure. So if I had to read 3 books, I'd do The Cure in the Cupboard, the Wild Berry Cure, The Cure is in the Forest.
All right, I'm going to have another book, The Natural Cures for Hypertension, maybe a book you want to get and get ready for our next show, because as soon as I get off the air with you folks, I'm going to talk to Dr. Ingram and schedule that time frame, and I'll bring it back to you. Look, we got bongos in the background, singling our time out of here. It was an excellent show today, as it always is with Dr. Ingram. But for now, I'm going to say so long for him and myself. See you on Friday. Bye now.
Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment,